And I think people with that 1%, they have to understand that if you maintain consistency for the next 10 to 20 years, you are going to blow past your peers. Because it's
Oh yeah.
one thing that the human is not good at is being consistent.
No.
So once it becomes
Especially
a
now.
lifestyle, yeah, go ahead.
I would say especially now. Like everybody's so stuck on like people just don't want to do hard work and they don't want to do it all the time. Um everyone's looking for that diet pill or, that 21-day fix or
Yo, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to another edition of Cave or Conquer podcast, a proactive pragmatism production. I'm Tommy.
I'm Robbie. Jeez. Thunder up
It's
Cable
lagging.
Conquer.
It's lagging. That's why she paused for like 5 minutes.
This is completely honest. I'm a noob. I don't know what I'm doing yet. It's all right.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there. One step at a time. So, so
Like on three or
caving,
after three?
huh? No, I
Is
don't
it
know.
on three or after three?
It's on 4, but
Oh, I was on like six, but all right.
that's all good. So let's talk about this. So interesting news. Lately I've been like hearing a lot about like health in the news and different things like that. And like there's this guy that's like overly obsessed with telling me as an African American that I need to take more vitamin D because da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't die yesterday and I didn't die today. But I do take supplements. So supplements or nah? And what do you
So
take?
so I personally take quite a few things supplement wise. So I think starting out, starting out, if someone's very, very new when it comes to healthy lifestyle, fitness lifestyle, I think initially supplementation, unless they're under like the advisement of a certified nutritionist, um, I don't think that would be something that I would decide to do completely on your own. I would seek out actual like help from somebody that knows what they're doing with that. Um, but I think starting out, it's important to kind of get your diet and stuff in check first. So, like, if you're talking about like protein, creatine, like those kind of things, not so much like your micronutrient supplements. I think those things can hold. But as far as your vitamin D comment, so there are studies that do show that if you live over, I can't remember what parallel it is, but it's like the northern half of like the US and up.
Mm-hmm.
Even throughout the summer, like you might want to supplement with vitamin D, um, just because the UV rays aren't even necessarily strong enough that if you are outside that you're going to get ample vitamin D. And what people don't know is that vitamin D is actually also like it is a hormone. Um,
Mm.
that's like a whole nother topic for like a whole nother time. But um, they do say that people with darker skin tones do also have a harder time getting vitamin D just because of like the natural melanin in your skin that will help block out UV rays. And that is basically how you get vitamin D. So, although that guy needs to stop preaching at you because, only I say like, say something once and like someone can take it or leave it. Like don't just keep harping at him like unless it's him to do that. He's not necessarily wrong. So,
So that's interesting because like what happens if you don't have enough vitamin D?
oh man. So you can have basically like the general gist of it is there's just a lot of hormonal issues that you can start having, and everything in the body is very interlinked. I'm not going to go into like too much detail because I'm still even learning about it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, but it also helps even with like like immune function and stuff like that as well. And
Okay.
people don't realize that either. So,
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I take a little. I got some multivitamins. I got some different things. You know what I'm saying? I got some turmeric for like recovery help and like stuff like that. And I got a little, a little couple of them. Some fish oils. Yeah.
yeah, so
Oils.
like fish oil, like like your omega 3s and stuff like that. That's something that like I would say like yeah. Essential amino acids, like those are things that your body doesn't actually naturally produce. You have to get that from your diet. So, that's a supplement that I would say like it's not overrated. Um, and then like I said, I would talk with like more of like a nutritionist, but you can kind of look through your diet and see what micronutrients like you might actually be missing, because it is coming out a lot more that like people put so much emphasis on macronutrients but not enough on micronutrients, especially for like high performing athletes and optimal performance. But when you start talking supplements like your performance enhancing drugs or your really weird ass pre workout names and this other proprietary blend shit that you don't actually know what's in it, uh, yeah, people need to just kind of pump the brakes on that a little bit.
Hmm.
If it says proprietary blend and it has like, you have no idea what the fuck's in it, it's just like a bunch of gibberish, don't touch it. Just leave it
Like
alone.
like animal and shit like that.
Just yeah, like
Like
I
the
said,
animal pack.
just like leave it alone. If it tells you that you're gonna drop so much weight in 7 days, leave it the fuck alone. There's no such thing as magic pill. There's some weird other shit going on that's going to mess you up later. Like those supplements, like leave it alone. And then yeah, as far as performance enhancing drugs go, um, I 100% could not tell you not to take them. Otherwise, I'd be making a hypocrite out of myself. I'll say that. Um, but what I will say is if your sleep, if your stress management, if your nutrition, if your training is not 100%, if your fluid intake is not 100%, and your like routine to getting all of those things consistently is not 100%, don't touch a performance enhancing drug,
Mm.
because that is like basically like in a sundae. Like those are all your main ingredients, and that little performance enhancing drug is just like your little cherry on top. That
Yeah.
is only going to help if everything else is like completely dialed in.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah, a lot of people think, and it's something. It's cool. Like the cool thing about experience with some of that stuff is it's eye opening you know when you use something, is like you do see that it is not a miracle. Like if you're not eating certain ways or whatnot, like people can still look like crap. Like I can show you two people that might be on like an anabolic steroid, and one looks like complete garbage and one looks phenomenal. They're both on a steroid. It's just one is using a steroid so like they can slack on everything else, which is not how it should be. And then the
Hmm.
other person is using it how it is. It's everything else is in check, and then he or she is just wanting that to like help them go like a step further. So
That's
that's
real.
my answer. That's my answer to that question.
I mean, I think that's honest. I mean, I didn't want to hear that I needed more vitamin D because I was black, but I'll take it, and I'm going to take extreme ownership and make sure I'm dialing the vitamin D. Uh,
So make sure I believe it's D3. So I'm not actually affiliated with them. I don't have a code. I do use them though.
Mhm.
For a lot of your like health micronutrient stuff, Revive MD is a really solid supplement company, and they've got I believe it's D3 and K2, and when you take those together, like it's the supplements already combined, but you take those together, it helps you absorb D3 a lot better, so the body can better utilize it for what it's for. But
Okay.
so
Okay. That's
so
real.
if you're looking Revive and D, and then yeah, they're D3 plus I think it's like K2. So
Okay. Yeah, not like the K2 y'all smoke, not that potpourri shit back in the day. Because I know some of, what I'm saying, some of our military buddies are probably like, dude, yeah, the K2 is all the rage. Oh, I think we popped out and lost Robbie. should be back here in a little bit. I think. Anyway, you guys hold fast for a little bit, and we will get this rolling here in a second. I'm kind of back, kind of, sort of, like way up in the camera. Hold on. There you go. Robbie's back.
Telemarketers.
Hold on. You good? Did your laptop die?
No. So I couldn't remember. What was it?
Was the mafia calling?
Something like that. Somebody called. I declined it. It's like the 4th time they've called today, but it's a telemarketer, and then everything crashed.
No, but that's the messed up part. I've been getting like text messages from like telemarketers, like random little scams. Like they got us on text message these days, Robbie.
Yeah,
like, that's crazy.
Well, not only that, but like they've got the shoot. I've been getting like these group messages, and like God help these people that have teenagers, but they're like links, and like in the links it's like sexy something or other, sex something or other, like what the heck? Like stop it, go away.
That's awesome. Are you alone tonight? Come hang out downtown. So
on a digital orgy. No thanks. Swipe left.
I can't. So let's get to our topic of the day. On that note, building consistency 1%. So this was your topic idea, and so what is building consistency 1%?
So another thing that I've seen, both from personal experience and starting to coach other people or watching friends or family try to get into like a healthier lifestyle, is a lot of people make the mistake of trying to just completely switch their life upside down all at once. And like that, it never works. It just never works. It never goes well. It's just too much to me. Like it's too much extra change and stress, I think, on like somebody's body, and like that is a lot. Like it is a lot to take on. So what I try to do, especially with like a lot of my clients, is we try to come up with, we make goals, like different targets further out, some short term, some longer term. But then like every week or every few weeks, we have a goal that we look at, whether it's, stress management, which I try to help them with, sleep routines, nutrition. And it's nothing like super big. It's like a little tiny thing. And it's like we try to get that solid for like a week or two. And then like once like that's solid, like we pick like the next thing that they want to work on. And then we start implementing that. And then so now you've got a few things that you're trying get solid. And then like over time, instead of having like this person that tries to flip their life upside down, they get frustrated and then they give up in like a week, a month, 6 weeks, whatever. Now you've got a person where it's just small changes over time, and like
Hmm.
it's not as insane to deal with. Like it's not as overwhelming, and it's a slow enough of a change that like they can really get the habits built one thing at a time, and like over time, like that's it's gonna compound.
Mm,
So
that's real. So can you give us a can you provide the audience with a I don't want like I want them to make sure they booking you as clients. You know what I'm saying? Getting that digital training session in, but if you could offer some word of advice, like one tip on how to manage stress, because I think that was freaking awesome. Like I haven't really heard very many coaches talk about the philosophy of like total all around fitness, like actually talking about mental stress and getting that down. So
yeah,
what's one tip that you can offer the audience, that free piece of chicken, as we used to call it in the military.
you gotta find something that works for you. And again, like we're in like a digital age. Like I'm lucky I've got a lot of resources and handouts and like I can go through them with my clients and we can pick a few things that sounds good. But having and I'll admit like when I was going through like a lot of like more intensive therapy and stuff, like I had a hard time using some of the techniques too because like I just didn't have the buy-in yet. Um, but picking something that works, taking and starting small, like even if it's taking like 5 minutes out of your day to like decompress, whether that's through journaling, whether that's through some sort of hobby, whether it's music, um, breathing exercises, like those work. If you can sit with yourself for 5 minutes, I know I couldn't sit with myself for 30 seconds. But like meditation, you know, just finding a tool that works for you,
Hmm.
and then really just trying to like do that consistently every day, and like having that so when you're getting worked up and overwhelmed, like you have like a go-to. So
That's real. Well, and then setting that threshold of doing that for I find that being time bound and schedule bound actually
mhm.
helps me be more consistent with what I do.
Yep.
And if I can write it out and map it out, this is what I'm going to do for that time. I can focus on that. Because like I have very much so scatterbrain. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
know me when we even talk about the podcast stuff. It's like I'm a creative. Like I'm like, oh, that's awesome, and da 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 da. And I go down these things, and then I gotta like hone in and be like, Tommy, wait, hold on, sit with
Right.
it, let it ride. Because one thing reading Jocko's books is like not every most things aren't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you sit with it, let it ride, you can probably come up with a better, more effective plan. And that's pretty awesome because it's like now when I go into the gym, that building consistency, I've done so many different types of variables for um, like different body parts that
Mhm.
like if the squat rack is taken because I originally started off at Planet Fitness, I can go over to another machine, a Smith machine or whatever, and still do those things.
Yep.
And then you start your brain, it's just like this amazing toolkit. It's like this. I don't know if you remember the catalogs when like scholar book, the what was it called? The books, the little people that used to drive around to all the schools. So was it like scholarship books or whatever? Like the book fair, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I feel it's like Scholastic something or
Yeah,
other.
Scholastic. Yeah, yeah, the Scholastic
Um,
Book Fair. Like your mind kind of becomes one of those when you get into it, when you immerse in it. And sometimes it's those boring times when I come up with like the most, like effective ideas and creative. So
so
I'm glad you go ahead.
yeah, I'm trying to get better currently about like a night routine to like come back down
Ooh, that's
after a
hard.
busy day. But my mornings, um, I'd say like 95% of the time, I still have a few times where like things happen and like I don't get it in, but I work really, really hard to make sure that I do. But I have stuff that I read every single morning. Right now, one of my readings that I'll do, it's Stoicism philosophy.
Oh yeah, I love the Stoics,
Yeah.
Epictetus, Seneca.
Yep.
Um, I
Marcus
love
Aurelius.
that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Epictetus, like whoever like wrote this and like transcribed some of his stuff, like I really hope some of it's literal because there's some things in here where like I'm reading it and it's just hilarious where he's literally just calling somebody an idiot and
Well,
it makes me laugh.
and it's super powerful. Like it's weird because stoicism actually helped calm my anxiety. Like
Yep.
for a while I used to like just listen to like different, like to go to sleep. I know this sounds really weird, but I would like turn on like Marcus Aurelius, like his passages on YouTube, and listen to those until I fell asleep. And I noticed like when I would come to work, and like it's like now, like I've been able to transform my entire environment at FedEx, and like I'm just like I'm stoic. Like I go in there, they're like, oh, all these boxes, and I just start moving them. I
Yeah.
just start, you know what I mean? Like, and that's also the power of weightlifting, right? Like in
Hmm.
working out is like after you've gotten a hell of a workout in, everything else is like almost in slow motion. It's almost like you've got a superpower because you're like, I've done shit harder than this.
Yeah.
So,
And I think I think one of the favorite things that like he talks about in that book, he's talking about like anxiety
mm-hmm,
and he talks about like all of our anxieties are literally just our own fears made up in our head.
mm-hmm,
Like
yeah,
it's never about something that like has actually happened. Like the anxiety is always about like the what ifs.
yeah,
So it's like you spend all this energy getting worked up and really like you're just, like you're making your own hell in your head. And so reading this it's helped me kind of like calm down about things.
mm-hmm.
Um not take things so personally. Like I don't know, but
Well,
that's how I start my morning. So
that's cool. And in that personal, not taking shit personal, that's
yeah.
huge.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and recently when I started doing that in the military, like a lot of times like I was able to step back and like realize that that person was being pulled by somebody else who was probably unhappy and
Yep.
disgruntled about the day and everything else. And what, like, and here's the interesting thing is the more stoic and the more quiet you can be and at peace, you start to learn things. You start to hear things. You're like, oh, that's what's going on. Because you know that you talked about sitting in silence.
Hmm.
You know, once you start sitting in silence, most people can't sit in silence.
No, you don't want to be alone with
You
yourself.
yeah, and then it's even weirder to be in the proximity of somebody else and feel alone with yourself. And if they can't be alone, they'll start telling you all types of crazy stuff just to
Uh,
get a conversation out of you. So
yeah.
that's super powerful. So building consistency 1% at a time. It also ties to the military. So one thing that grinds my gears is the Army 10 miler, the Murph, the Baton Death March, and all of these things. Do I believe? I think they're amazing events. I really do. Here's the problem: there are a lot of injuries. There are a lot of heat cats because people don't like they're not consistent enough to actually do those things. And
Yeah.
then they'll cut them in pieces and cut them in half and do so many, which like salute that. Like honestly, amazing people, that like these things commemorate. But the problem is like they break themselves off. Now they're taking a month off because they did the Murph. You know what I mean? It's like that just going down the highway, like 150 miles per hour, and then like it's like that crash. Like you've got to stop and slow down at some point in time, and it becomes reckless on the body
Yep.
because like they didn't take care of their body.
Well, that's why I think, and we'll see. Like a lot of it too, it depends on how much buy-in from like brigade, battalion commanders, and whatnot. But I know like the army's trying to move to this whole like holistic health and fitness, and they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
actually have like coaches and stuff to help with like strength and conditioning, and have like actual teams. Um, but yeah, like for I don't know how long the army training and like their methodology like with training has just been so fucked, for like
Mm-hmm.
lack of better terms. And like that's why people are broken because you can't take a kid that has never ran more than like a block in his life, and then go take him and make him run 4 miles every day
Mm-hmm.
and expect him to not get injured. Like there's being smart and like becoming like a better athlete, and then there's just stupidity. And like
What?
you can't do that. People don't realize that like you have to work up. Like there's a method to working up to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't
Well, and there's like
overstress your body.
exactly, and there's the workup and there's the warm up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just drives me nuts when people are like, "Yeah, we gonna go to the gym. I could probably," and I like Robbie. One thing I never do is I'm not that guy. Like I've been not necessarily injured, but like I've had so many aches and pains in my life that like I start to realize, and this ties to stoicism. Like your flow is your flow, your process is your process, and if you can subdue your ego, it's gonna help you years to come. Because
Oh
most
yeah.
people can't subdue their ego when they're challenged by somebody else. But there was a quote that I found that was that Jay-Z said. I know he's not a stoic, but he says, "Don't argue with fools because when you argue with fools, they can't tell who the fool really is."
Yeah.
And a
Hey,
lot of times
you
it
never know
drives
what
you.
he reads. Jay-Z could fully well be. He could
Oh
fully well
yeah,
be
no, for
stoic.
sure. I almost guarantee he probably reads a lot of. He probably reads a lot of books. I mean, for his mind and where he is and like the positions of power that he's in, and being with Beyonce, he got to learn how to be a stoic because that is one fire sister. Like, hey man, she got a lot of fire. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, nah. But it's one of those things where I've gotten really, really comfortable with saying no. Like, nah, I'm good, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And it bothers people. And I don't want it to bother people, but I'm like, you have to realize consistency is a personal journey.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you got coaches, you got trainers, yeah, but they can't do it for you. They
Yeah.
didn't come into this world with you and they're not going to leave, leave with you. Hopefully not. That might be bad. Um,
Well, the thing is coaches aren't babysitters either. Like
ooh,
I
say
can't.
that.
Yeah, coaches,
She said, I ain't
coaches,
babysitting y'all. Your
coaches.
camera's a little low, Rob. It's a little
Uh,
low.
here we go.
There.
Hold on. Coaches are not babysitters.
Ooh,
Like
say it
you pay
again.
me one more time. Coaches are not babysitters.
I'm not your mama.
No, and that's the thing. It's like I can give you a plan. I can tell you what's going to work. Like if I'm not working with a client, if I'm not doing updates online, if like I'm not training for my show, I'm working on like nutrition certification stuff or I'm downloading like extra resources for continuing education. So like I'm constantly learning. So like that way I can tell you like when we stumble across something, like I'm either knowledgeable enough to either have the answer or know where to go to get it or who to go to get it, but like I can give you all the answers in the world. Like if you don't execute it, like there's nothing I can do. Like honestly, like I can't motivate somebody either. Like yeah, maybe like that's not. I don't know. I started telling my clients on Monday. I started telling them we have like a group chat on Instagram, and I will tell them Happy Momentum Monday.
Mhm.
And I'm like, motivation is fickle. Like, I'm tired of Motivation Monday. I'm tired of people talking about motivation because, like, it's fucking fickle. Like, when you're tired and you're like, your dog ass tired, stuff's going wrong, like, you don't want to do the things you want to do, like, that motivation isn't going to show up. But if you start taking, like, one foot in front of the other and do the things that you need to do, that you know you need to do, that are in your best interests, like,
Mhm.
once you move, more movement is just that much easier.
No,
So,
and that's real. And it'll become like literally like riding a bike, tying your shoes. Like
yeah.
it kind of becomes what you do, and then you tweak things here and there, and you start to see, okay, my lats are getting, you know, what I'm saying I ain't on, you know, what I'm saying I ain't on Latosaurus Rex level, you know, what I'm saying, but but they're like, okay, I got a little definition here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think people with that 1%, they have to understand that if you maintain consistency for the next 10 to 20 years, you are going to blow past your peers, because it's
Oh yeah.
one thing that the human is not good at is being consistent.
No.
So once it becomes
Especially
a
now.
lifestyle, yeah, go ahead.
I would say especially now. Like everybody's so stuck on like people just don't want to do hard work and they don't want to do it all the time. Um Everyone's looking for that diet pill or, that 21-day fix or whatever, but it's like when that 21 days is over, now what? You know,
Exactly.
what's next? And people don't want to say no when they need to say no. And the thing is when you make it a lifestyle, like what's cool about it is once you make it a lifestyle and you're doing things consistently enough, like you can also afford, to go out every so often with people and have
Mhm.
fun and not worry about things and not like it's not going to set you back, because you've got such a solid foundation that like it's not going to hurt you. But like you
Mhm.
got to get that solid foundation first. And so I think one of the coolest things that I heard, so like the First Form founder Andy Frisella, he's got a podcast and it's called the Motherfucking CEO Podcast. No, actually he changed it. That's what it used to be. Now it's the Real as Fuck Podcast.
Okay.
But still really good. But he said we need to stop looking at things as we're doing all these things and sacrificing. Like you're sacrificing time and your time with friends and family, and you're sacrificing the party and blah 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 blah. And he's like, no, he's like, stop looking at it as a sacrifice and start looking at it as you're making an investment, and that
Mhm.
return's gonna come later.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Well, and that's because, everybody's on that investment curve right now. You know what I mean? Like, well, invest this, do this, play the, but one thing that you learn is if you play the long game, all
yeah,
the opportunities for pleasure are found in the long game, are found in the marathon.
oh
And
yeah,
people want that instant, it's weird. Like the other day, so I guess somebody was selling some type of program or something, and he was like literally in the comments, like, oh yeah, will this make me do it? I'm like, really? I'm like, you got that Planet Fitness, what I'm saying, membership that you didn't have for the last year and a half that you ain't used. So you go ahead and get in there, play, and start moving around. And the problem is like one thing I want to stress to people on the podcast is like, start now.
yeah,
Because if you don't, you're gonna be that person that's gonna be mad because there's somebody in the warehouse, there's somebody at your job, there's somebody in the office space that right now they in the dark and they working, they putting that
oh yeah,
work in. And you think Bob ain't putting that work in, and you're gonna see him start shredding the pounds and getting results that you're not necessarily getting, because like we don't make the rules of fitness, but we do understand that when somebody sees somebody who is fit, they see somebody who is competent, because this person obviously has the discipline to do something that other people choose not to do. And so at that point, you set yourself up for success in realms outside of the gym. You build that mental strength, you build that competency to have a certain conversation. One thing that I've learned about life is it's not about being able to say wise words. It's being able to be in the position to have those conversations. And through fitness, you can have those conversations. And
so
so,
I never really thought about it. So it's so funny because like I never thought about it like that.
mhm,
And I think that's just because the military rubbed me the wrong way as far as like
mhm,
seeing a bunch of people that were like, for like lack of better terms, like PT studs and
mhm.
like just totally not great like at their job or whatever. But I mean, I can also see what you're saying as far as like, if you're giving yourself like the discipline to do that like with your body, like chances are like you've got the discipline to excel in other areas like if you apply yourself there.
Well,
So
and that's the thing though, is it's not necessarily, I'm not saying like, because I've seen that PT stud mentality as well. And so what I'm more so getting at is, you say you're the competent person that should get the raise, that should get all of these things. But one thing that like doesn't fade away, biology doesn't go away, right? Like there
Mm-hmm.
are people who have succeeded in certain positions because of certain things. So now if you take that competency that you have at the job because you're the best person at the job and you work on
Mm-hmm.
your appearance, game changer.
Okay. I gotcha. So you're saying like on top of, like as a,
Yeah. Because
okay.
there's a lot of people who they are really really upset and envious of other people that are in shape, but they
Which is
don't realize.
crazy. Like they can
Well,
have it.
see, and that's that thing though. See, Rob, if we go backwards and we're talking about, like, oh well, yeah, people who are PT studs, you ain't got to be the PT stud. Be the
Yeah.
PT without the ST. You know what I'm saying? Just be 50% of that. If you be 50% of that, you're gonna get different results because people gonna look at you different. Like one thing that started to change for me, and I'm gonna pull up this picture, because I think I was at like 250 at the time. Let me see. I can share this. I'm gonna share the screen.
Yeah,
Um,
that I agree with wholeheartedly. Like people, until they start working with me, people think that like I'm just gonna push this like bodybuilder mentality, and people don't understand that like me being a bodybuilder, like let's like it shows me how much not everybody should be a bodybuilder. Like it's not for
no,
everybody.
and that's a tough life to live, and that, like, but you can take those like same things and those same competencies and use those. Like this
Oh
was
yeah.
me at freaking 250 pounds. Like right now I'm at 195. Like look at that fat ass face. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought I was doing it. I thought I was fresh. I had that nice shirt on, belly sticking out, chest little, arms small. You know what I'm saying? My daughter over here resenting me, like, dang, dad, okay, G, you gonna get in the gym sometimes? She probably wasn't saying that for real. Like she loved me, but it was just, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at them cheeks, look at that face. Like I look like I'm fake happy. You know what I'm saying? Because I thought I was fake
Yeah.
fresh until I realized, you know what? It's time to step up and drop this weight. And even before that, I was never really like super muscular. Like, we used to run all the time, right? Like in ROTC. So like I was fit, but like I didn't have what I wanted. And that built
Yeah.
resentment towards other people because all of a sudden, we get back to where we are as, like cadets. And the new cadets that come in, they got Master Sergeant was it Master Sergeant Gately? They
Oh
got, what
yeah.
I'm saying, the colonel that came in. We became PT 5 days a week. Like, shout out to the colonel that was before because he taught me a lot of empathy, what I'm saying, and working with people. And he taught me a lot about just, what I'm saying, like personality stuff. But then
Yeah.
we got the new set of colonels that came, colonel that came in, and they was all about the PT. And here I am jealous because I'm like, man, these boys got these guns on them. They got this chest. You know what I'm saying? I even,
But
decided to join Ranger Challenge at the time. You know what I'm saying?
But see, what's crazy though is like it's like you talk about that, like you talk about like building resentment like towards these people, because like they have that, and it's like if you would
Mhm.
just like then, if you would have just took that energy like you were like spending on
Mhm.
being resentful, and just instead use that to like apply yourself, like you could have
Mhm.
been that with your like, and then with your genetics, like you probably could have passed that pretty dang quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's hard because, it's like, but that's why we got this podcast to put people on
Yeah.
game so they can get to the point where they want to be and stop making excuses. Because a lot of people, they look at me now, they're like, oh yeah, he's ripped and he's da 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 da. And I'm like, dude, I was real thin. Like I was a real thin, skinny kid, and I was skinny all the way through freaking high school. And then all of a sudden I go to college, and then I get out, I got fat. You know what I'm saying? So I got to see both sides of the like going up and then coming down and trying to straighten it down. And I have so much empathy for people who are overweight and who are obese because that's a challenge.
It
Because
is.
I was gonna get knee surgery and a bunch of other stuff, and then I was like, you know what? Thank God I was poor at the time because I was like, you know what? Like, what happens if I just lose some of this weight? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yep.
now today, like, I'll pull up and I'm the hot FedEx man. You know what I'm saying? Like, old ladies and
The,
people's wives.
the
I'll
mail
be looking
the
away like,
mailman.
man, here's the package. Here, ma'am. Sorry, I'm out of here. Like, you ain't finna, Bob not finna come up to work looking for me.
I'm gonna hear that mailman joke now.
But yeah, but I felt it. That's why, like, when I come with that energy of like people will treat you different, they
Yeah.
literally will treat you different if you treat yourself different. And a lot of that comes from self confidence, self
Yep.
love, and self care.
Yep. And then
You
like
know,
knowing that self self-care and like self-love, it's hard to, because like the whole like self-love thing, when like you should love your body no matter like what state you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you should love yourself and like love yourself internally, but like that also isn't a cop out to let yourself be unhealthy. Like,
Ooh, that's not an excuse. She
no.
said it. Robbie said it. It's not an excuse. Self love is not an excuse to neglect yourself, neglect your future self, because your future self will thank your past self for putting in the work.
Yeah, like true self-love is doing the things that you don't want to do because it is in your body's interest. Like it is in your own self-interest. Like you don't have to have the freaking six pack, like whatever. Like no, like I don't fucking care about that. But like you do deserve to be healthy and live a healthy life, and that includes like having a strong mentality,
Mm-hmm.
which usually you will also earn like when you start going through training. Um, there's just so much, like you said, there's just so much connection between like like the mental, like the mindset part of it versus like the physical part of it. And so it's like you got all these people that are like, oh, like I'm like 300 pounds, but I love myself, like I'm embracing myself. It's like, no, you're living on an excuse. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, like love who you are, but like you also deserve to be healthy, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Facts. Well, and I love food, so don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, a lot of people out there, they might be watching, it's like, man, but what about it?
Yeah,
You
I
know
love
what I'm
food
saying? The
too.
fish and grits taste so good. And I'm like, they even taste better when you've earned it. And so when I was deployed, people looked at me weird because I was like, well, yeah, I went and ran 6 miles so I could earn some pizza. And they were like, wait, how much does it take to earn, what I'm saying, a burger? Like,
Yeah, it's not even like
but
it's not even so much earning food. It's shrimp and grits, some fucking cheesy grits
mhm,
and shrimp tastes amazing when you don't have to worry about like that bowl of shrimp and grits giving you a heart attack, because
yeah.
80% of the time the rest of the week you're doing things that your body needs you to do. So then
Mhm,
you can actually take it or leave that food, and then when you do take it, you can actually enjoy it and know that like this is not going to be the thing that maybe just finally puts me in the hospital, you know?
mhm. Oh, that's
So,
real. That's 100% real. Uh, I'm feeling it. So to wrap this, this episode of the podcast up, we have a question from Mike. It is,
my
how can I
favorite
be
friend
more
Mike.
confident in the gym? And ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for the podcast about health or fitness, reach out to us. Send us an email at proprag20 at gmail.com. We will do our best to answer it on the podcast. So, Robbie, what do you say?
Confidence comes with experience. That's what I think. So if you're trying to build confidence in the gym, like I said, my personal opinion is, don't be afraid to ask somebody that like knows what they're doing. Most gyms have trainers there or coaches there, and I guarantee like they love what they do. They're more than willing to help. Um, but yeah, I mean, just going in there and getting familiar. Shoot, I even have times too where like there will be a piece of equipment that I haven't used before, and there's lots of little like differences in some pieces, and like I'll pull up a YouTube video and
Oh
freaking
man.
watch a YouTube video on like how to properly set it up before I do it. It's just, so like don't be afraid to do stuff like that. And like as you do it, like one, you realize nobody gives a flying fuck about what you're doing or
Hmm.
what you're looking up, because they're too worried about like themselves.
And even
And
if they
then
do, fuck them.
yeah, and even if they do, like fuck them. They probably have the exact same question and probably don't use that machine because they're too afraid to actually be like, oh, I don't know how to use this, and like rather than like ask or like look something up, like they just no. But yeah, just confidence is gonna come with experience and time, and just time doing it. So like, don't be afraid to ask for help. Um, Gain knowledge, gain tips.
Hmm.
Um,
That's real. And one thing that being confident in the gym is it's also, Mike. It's tuning out everybody else and
yeah.
just going in there and having a plan. So one
Oh
thing
yeah.
that I like to do is like in my phone, I got it laid out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because I work out 5 days a week. I was doing like every day of the week, but I'm like on top of FedEx, like it's just a lot. And
Yeah.
so I do what I can. And once I started doing that, like you will reprogram your brain. Like 3 months after I had reset my new routine, because I've been probably consistent for like the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, it ain't 10, like the homie Robbie over here, but you
I
know
mean,
what
I haven't
I'm
been consistent in 10 years. I just picked up
saying?
weight for the first time 10 years ago. But
Hey, I'm telling you, that long game, that marathon mentality, gonna take you far, and it's helped us out so far. And so, but 3 months in, that's just gonna be your routine. You already know what you got Monday. You know what's popping on
yep.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and also you build that muscle memory. So if something else is taken, you already know how to get it in on another exercise. That's the beautiful thing about going to a place. You know what I'm saying? That has like a bunch of different machines and a bunch of different free weights, because the more research you do, like the more you'll get pumped up about a bunch of different things, and how those things go down, and it'll reframe how you think about working out. Like it
Yeah,
becomes like, I got to get it in. Go
I
ahead.
have I have a logbook that I write down, and I'll usually do for at least about 8 weeks. I will do the same muscle group like the same day of the week, and I will do the same exercises for that muscle group. And then what I do is when I go into the gym, I write down the day and all the stuff that I have to do. So I set like the intention for the gym and what I'm trying to hit. And then I look back to the week before. I see what my working set weight was. I see what the reps that I hit was. And then realistically, like I try to beat that. Keeping in mind, like good form is always number one over any number or rep. But then that way, it's like I have my focus. I know the part that I need to hit. I know what I'm aiming for, and then like you just go do it.
Yeah. So true. I just got to get after it. And the other thing, you have all the apps in the world. Like now, there's really no excuse not to record. If that's your style, right? Like
Yeah.
our styles differ, because I don't really do the recording, because I'm more so like do the things that kind of work for my body. And but I did in the beginning. I did a lot of recording and figuring out what worked for me. Because we basically, Cave or Conquer, the podcast is about fitness simplified. And
Yeah.
so whatever works simply for you, do it. Like I know some people with their calendars, they're like digital people. For me, like I like to keep like a paper notebook. That's why I write my stuff down, because it's muscle memory. So um, find a way, Mike, to be comfortable with your setup, and your all the things that you do leading up to the gym is going to carry you through those gym workouts. So,
Yep.
well, we
Train
hope we
train with
answered.
intent.
Exactly. Intent is everything. In the military, we even talk about commander's intent. The
Oh
commander's
gosh.
intent will guide you everywhere. Like
Well,
it was
now.
okay. I'm like, is this what the intent? Oh no, that ain't. I probably shouldn't take that hill when I'm supposed to be providing security on the 5. You know.
I'm not. I'm not touching that. I'm pretty much retired.
So, but that's another thing for another day. But anyway, Rob, we're gonna wrap this one up. So, Mike, we appreciate you, sending in your question, and we're here for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Cave or Conquer. Tune in next week for our next episode. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah.